This presentation includes forward-looking statements that are subject to risks and uncertainties. Actual results may differ materially as a result of various risk factors, including those described in the 10Ks, 10Qs, and 8Ks VMware files with the SEC. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Carl Eschenbach.
Good morning and buenos dias, Barcelona, and welcome to VMworld Europe in our Day 2 general session. It's great to see so many people here, and I'd like to start by thanking our sponsors, our customers, our vast ecosystem, and our employees for making VMworld Europe another absolutely spectacular event. And this event is a tremendous event, but it's not just a great event for VMware. It's actually a great event for our entire IT industry. And with more than 8,500 people in attendance this year, it is, or may be, one of the largest IT infrastructure events in Europe over the last few years. Yesterday, Maurizio talked about our rich history, something we're quite proud of. We are now all of 15 years old as a company. And VMworld has a 10-year rich history, and 6 of them being here in Europe. But 10 years ago, at our first VMworld event, we had all of 1,400 people with us. And I happened to be there, and I can tell you at the time, we at VMware thought we were literally on top of the world. We had 1,400 people at our user conference. Well, we weren't quite on top of the world, but we did at that time make some very bold and ambitious claims. And that was we wanted to virtualize the entire x86 data center. And through that virtualization, we would deliver a powerful platform that would transform and transcend the IT of the past. And while collectively we're not quite at virtualizing the entire data center, we have actually come quite a long way. And that's thanks to you, our customers, and our partners. And because we've done so much in the past, we've laid a foundation. We've laid a foundation to allow VMware to continue its rich history of innovation. And because that platform is so powerful, what happened here on stage yesterday is Pat painted a vision for VMware in the future. And that vision actually brought more innovation to VMworld than we've ever done in the past. So I'd like to quickly start moving forward by looking back, but only looking back one day, and highlight what Pat shared with all of you yesterday. Yesterday, Pat announced the next release of vSphere in our vCloud suite, our 5.5 code. And there is no reason to now not virtualize your applications in your data center. And with this powerful new platform, we have the ability to drive towards that goal of 100% virtualization. Pat laid out VMware's vision for the software-defined storage industry with the introduction of Virtual SAN. Pat, along with Martine, and 3 very powerful global customers, eBay, GE, and Citi, announced NSX, VMware's network virtualization platform, a platform that will revolutionize networking, just like Pat said ESX did a decade ago. We were very pleased and proud to have the single largest cloud management launch and refresh in our company's history yesterday. And all of this was done with you in mind. What did we do and what did we bring to market? We brought a new level of management, automation, orchestration, provisioning, remediation, and operations management to allow you all to effectively manage in this new world of the software-defined data center. And all of these cloud management platforms were built specifically for the cloud era. We also announced our market entry into Europe with our vCloud hybrid service. It's now in beta form in the UK, and it will continue to be built out across Europe in the future. And we announced a very exciting acquisition of a company called Destone, giving us the ability not to just deliver View and VDI solutions on-premise for our customers, but also now have the capability to get desktop as a service through our service provider partners and ultimately on our vCloud hybrid service. What Pat did up here on stage yesterday was not just lay out a vision, strategy, and direction for VMware, but more importantly, he laid out a vision, strategy, and direction for our entire industry. And none of this can be accomplished without powerful software. Now, we all know that software absolutely solves many of the technical challenges we have in the data center, but software also has a profound effect on the human capital side of business. Because we know for decades, business has had a high reliance on IT. But over those last decades, there's always been some tension. And that tension has actually evolved into friction over the last few years. Now, we believe at VMware, the only way to reduce or remove the amount of friction between the consumers of IT and the producers of IT is through software. And with this new software, a new level of trust and collaboration will evolve. And through that new level of trust and collaboration, companies will be able to gain access to their customers and serve their customers in a very different way. Employees will be able to get access to applications and desktops through any device in a very secure manner. And a new level of business agility will emerge, allowing all of you to be more competitive in the marketplaces you compete in. Because what you'll do is you'll bring new services, goods, and products to market faster, which ultimately will lead to increase in shareholder value. Now, to do all of this, we actually have to meet the needs and desires of two different sets of people. And let's start with all of you. We know that all of you want to be more innovative, and we know you have a desire to meet the demands of the line of business. And through business agility, you can do that. But we also recognize and understand that there is a legacy data center and a set of legacy applications that you also must manage. And as Pat said yesterday, what we need to do is move from a world where we're spending 70% of our time and dollars on keeping the lights on to a world where we're spending 70% of our dollars on innovation. And we need to help our CIOs move from chief information officers to chief innovation officers. At the same time, the line of business never, and I mean never, stops asking for more. Because they are also in a very competitive world. And the faster they can get applications to market faster through IT allows them to be that much more impactful to their customers. Now, the only way this can actually be accomplished is if we start to deliver IT as a service. And if you think of what we've historically done, we used to automate the business with IT. We now need to start to think of ways on how to automate IT for IT. Now, for this to happen, Pat laid out 3 imperatives yesterday. And quite honestly, these 3 imperatives are not options. They're must-dos if we want to deliver IT as a service. First, we need to virtualize all of IT. And we're not just talking about infrastructure, we're talking about infrastructure, applications, and desktops. We need to move from a world where we're managing IT to where we're automating IT. It is no longer about public or private, public versus private. The world will be a hybrid cloud in the future. Now, you're all sitting there and saying, wow, Pat, Carl, these are really ambitious goals. And you know what? You're right, they are. You're probably saying, are these real? Can this all be accomplished? Yes, they can. And you're probably saying, wow, this is a really, really bold aspiration and journey you're trying to take our industry on. But we at VMware believe we can be bold because together with you, we have a track record of success. And together, we have built a strong foundation for these imperatives to come true. And the way these will come true is by delivering the software-defined data center, where everything is virtualized. IT is delivered as a service. And as that service is being delivered in the background, everything is being automated through the use of software. Now, to make all of this become true, I'm sure you want to see this live and in action. And we want to move from a world where we're showing you in slides to a world of reality. And to help make the software-defined data center come true today, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to stage a VMware principal engineer, Kit Colbert. Kit, welcome. Hey, Kit, how are you, buddy?
Carl, my favorite line of business owner. What sort of insane demands do you have for us in IT today?
Wow. Okay, let's start over. Kit, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. So, Kit, let me first explain who I am. I'm a very technical business leader, and I think I understand technology quite well. And every time I come to you in IT, I ask for more and more, and you're always telling me, you know, Carl, I got everything under control.
We do. We do.
Well, I was thinking the other day, right, about a video that reminded me of sometimes how I think of IT, because I'm not sure you always have everything in control. So let's run this video if you don't mind.
Sure, let's do it.
Oh, this is easier. Yeah, we can handle this okay.
Doing splendidly. Speed it up a little!
Speed it up. I need my applications, and I need them fast.
That was a funny video, but, you know, IT, we're not a chocolate factory. It's a lot more complex.
So why is it so complex, Kit?
Let's talk about that. The reality, Carl, is that you're not the only one who's yelling at us. We have a lot of other constituents, and they all need things from IT, and they need them now. But the most important thing is that we have to keep the lights on. We have to keep all of our business-critical applications up and running. That's a really high bar, and there is a lot of complexity there.
So Kit, I understand that, but at the end of the day, I think you know me, and it's all about getting my applications to market faster, and I want them right here, right now.
Of course you do.
And is there anything you can do to help me get these applications in the market faster?
Yeah, we definitely can. I think we do have a solution that can solve both of our needs, your ability to get applications to market more quickly, and my need for control to keep our business-critical applications running. So let's check out a demo.
Okay, great.
So here we are in vCloud Automation Center. Now this is the place where you as an application owner can go to see all the different applications and services that we have within our data center.
So I see this is a portal that I, as a line of business owner or a developer, go to bring an application to market. And I also see there's different types of infrastructure services that I can leverage here. A private cloud, a public cloud, and many others.
Right. The idea is to be completely comprehensive. We understand that your data center is very heterogeneous and that you have a lot of different types of infrastructure in there. So the point here is that this is one place where you can go to provision anything that you want to.
Now, I also see there's an option here if we wanted to deploy an application on OpenStack. Does VMware integrate into OpenStack, and can you really provision through this tool?
It does, yeah. Again, the point here is to support everything, including even OpenStack. And we know a lot of our customers are actually looking at OpenStack and evaluating it. So we've been working hard at VMware to actually integrate vSphere seamlessly into OpenStack. So now OpenStack's yet another way of consuming vSphere.
That's great. So Kit, let me tell you a little bit about my application, because it is a mission-critical application, and it requires low latency because it's highly transactional. And I'm confident there's a lot of people that's going to want access to my application.
Obviously, I'm sure it's going to be very
So can
popular.
we go ahead and deploy it, or can I go ahead and deploy it?
Yeah, we can. So I think you're talking about your Project Vulkan application.
That's it. Project Vulkan's amazing.
OK. So you can see here we have a few different options of where to provision Vulkan. We can provision it on vSphere in the private data center. We can provision it in the hybrid cloud. We even have an option for EC2 out in the public cloud. Which one would you like?
In this case, I'd like to deploy it in a private cloud on vSphere.
OK. So let's drill into that. Now, what you see here is a little bit of detail about the application. But I know something you're thinking, and that's how much does it cost?
Always. I'm always interested in cost because a lot of times I get bills from you at the end of the week, month, or quarter saying, hey, you need more infrastructure, here's an additional bill. I want to know up front what I'm paying.
Yeah, we like to do that to you.
Yeah, I know.
Keeps you on your
Trust
toes.
me.
It's fun. So now there is no guesswork to it. We can take all the guesswork out, and let's go check out the cost for running this application. So we're looking here at our IT Business Management Suite product. This is something that Pat announced yesterday. And so as you can see, we can see the cost for running this application on a variety of different infrastructures, both your private data center as well as a couple of different public clouds.
Now, I see in this case it says it's cheaper to run in a private cloud. Is that always the case, Kit?
That's a good question. It's not always the case. The reality is that there are a lot of different factors that go into determining the cost of running an application. But the point here is that this takes all the guesswork out of it. Now you can see one number, and you're no longer unsure of what it's going to cost.
OK, but how do I know what that $380 comprises of?
Well, we can break that down for you. So you see on the left-hand side, we actually break it down on a per VM basis. And even within that, you can see a cost broken down on the VM of where your costs are going for, say, storage and labor and maintenance.
OK, that's something I've never seen before. So you can tell me how much my software costs were and my infrastructure costs to run this application.
Right, it's all there for you.
That's really powerful, Kit.
So are you OK with going with the private cloud?
I want to go with the private cloud. Can we deploy that app?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go back to our catalog, and let's submit a request. Now, when we submit the request, we need to put in a couple of pieces of information. First of all, a name. But now we get some more interesting choices.
Okay.
These are things in IT that we've allowed you to choose from. So in particular here, database storage. We've given you a choice of 3 different tiers, bronze, silver, or gold. And let me guess, you want gold.
Actually, I want silver because I'm always nervous about storage costs. So in this
Really?
case, let's pick silver. Yeah.
It's shocking.
I'm provision. It's my app. That's what I want.
You don't want gold? OK. Well, we'll go silver with it then. Now, another option, auto scale. Auto scale is a really cool feature of vCloud Automation Center. It will monitor your application. And if it detects your application is under increased load, it will automatically fork off an additional instance of that application to handle that load.
So I definitely want to choose that option because this is going to be a powerful application, and everyone's going to want access to it. So this thing's going to need scale-out capabilities.
Of course, yeah. Let's do it. Check it. And then we can select the maximum number of additional instances to create. We'll select 7, and we can submit the request. Now, what you've seen along the way here is that Carl's been doing all this by himself. We in IT haven't been in the loop. But the point here is that we still have control. We have control through policy. So we specified the different applications and infrastructures that Carl saw when he first logged in. We had control over the different types of storage tiers that Carl could choose from. And now we have yet another point of control, because all we've done is submitted a request. The actual provisioning hasn't occurred yet. What happens is the request has to be approved first. And so we can either automatically approve it, or we can make it a manual approval in certain cases, say if you're trying to provision tens or hundreds of VMs. Now, in this case, it actually was an automatic approval because just a few VMs. It was a small application. So while we've been talking, this application has actually been automatically provisioned for us. So we can go check it out.
Let's check out the health of that application.
So we see all the different VMs here. We can drill into one of them to look at the health. And
wow, there you go. There's my application. Green means healthy.
We have to keep it simple for you business guys.
Oh, that's good, Kit. That's really good. So let's just take a step back, Kit, and look at what we just saw in our first demo. So first and foremost, I, as a line of business owner or a developer, actually have access to a self-service portal to implement my application and its infrastructure, and I had transparency into the pricing of that application.
Right, and that's great for you guys on the business side, but for us in IT, the thing that we got is governance. Governance equals control. It allows us to ensure that all our business-critical applications stay up and running, even while you're going off and provisioning all the new apps that you want. And it's automation that brings self-service and governance together, because with automation, we get the best of both worlds. You guys get the freedom that you want, while we in IT get the control that we need.
That's great, Kit. That was really exciting, and it was quite impressive to see that you actually, with a couple clicks, could provision an entire application and its infrastructure. But before we dive into that a little further, let's take a step back and focus on the cost and to run applications in this environment. And you showed a bunch of different data on the cost to run my application. How do I know that the data is accurate and where it came from and how it was actually calculated.
You don't trust it? Do you think we're overcharging you or something?
You've been known to do that in the past, Kit, yes.
Look, the point is that this is real data, and I can prove it to you. Let's show another demo to check it out.
Let's see another one.
OK, so we're back here in the IT Business Management Suite product. We're accessing it through vCloud Automation Center. Now, this is the same product that you just used to look at the cost for your application. But what I look at now is I see the cost of my entire data center. I can see that broken down by the different components in there. How much am I paying for storage? How much am I paying for OS licensing? I can see it all here. I can also look at my costs month to month. How much does it cost per VM to run my data center on a month-to-month basis? Is it going up? Is it going down? Now I know. And this is really empowering for me as an IT admin. Because previously, if the CFO would ask me, how much does our data center cost? I didn't have a good answer. Now I do. But better than that, I can actually give him a detailed bill, just like he would get from a public cloud vendor. But better than that, if he wants even more detail, I can actually give him a live dashboard right here in the product, so he can get all the information that he wants.
So, Kit, this is extremely powerful because now we have transparency in pricing, but it's not just for IT or the line of business. There's actually a third party we can now bring in this to get access to this tool, and that's the CFO in his or her organization. So we now have transparency in pricing across IT, the line of business, and the finance organization. And the finance organization has historically always challenged us on the cost of IT, but now we can look at the same dashboard to get a better understanding of the cost to run our infrastructure.
Yeah, hopefully it should make our meetings a bit more easy. We don't have to have all the shouting matches that we usually have.
That's great. So can we drill down and see how much it costs for my department, in this case my development organization, and how much it is to run each of the applications?
Definitely. You'll notice on the right-hand side here that I can see a breakdown by department. So let's take a look at your development group department. So now what we see here is all the different applications that you guys have provisioned. As a matter of fact, at the top there, we can see Project Vulkan, the application we just provisioned. And just like you saw the cost for it when you were provisioning it, I see the exact same cost here.
That's great. So there's Project Vulkan, $380. I shouldn't say dollars, euros. 380 euros to run that application, which is exactly what I saw when I deployed it.
Right.
That's really exciting, Kit. So now transparency in pricing for everybody.
Yeah, we can actually argue about facts rather than just opinions, which I know you have a lot of.
OK, so let's see what let's just have a few takeaways. So number one, we see seamless cost visibility for IT, businesses, and I said earlier, finance as well for the first time. We see detailed data to understand the trade-offs we're going to make around infrastructure versus the application and potentially the SLA of that application. And we now have the ability to effectively, and probably for the first time, manage IT as a business. That was great, Kit. Thanks.
Do you trust the data now, Carl?
I'm definitely feeling a lot better after that little demo. That's great. So let's take a step back even further, because as I said earlier, I was quite impressed that in a couple clicks you were able to deploy an application. Can you go into that a little bit more detail and show me how that actually occurred?
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on here. So let's drill into another demo to see exactly what happened. Now, what we're looking at here is vCloud Application Director. And what we've done is rewound the clock to right after we submitted our request for this application. That request, as I said, was automatically approved, and so it got sent over here to actually have it be provisioned. So let's drill into this application.
Okay.
Now, there's a couple of things I want to point out. The first of which is that it's very hard to stand up a modern application. These things have 20 or 30 different components. You got to figure out how to connect the networking, what the dependencies are, what order to power them on, the configuration options, so on and so forth. The point here is that vCloud Application Director takes care of all that for you. It'll create an execution plan and then automatically stand up that application. It's really powerful.
That's great.
So what exactly is this application? I know you know. You guys built it.
I built it.
But we don't. So let's take a look. You see here the blueprint for the application. This defines the application. And when I say application, by the way, I don't mean just a vApp. This is a lot more powerful. This is the end-to-end definition, a full definition for an application. I know about all the different tiers, all the different VMs, all the different components, and all their dependencies. And it's all represented here graphically.
So, Kit, are you saying when you did this, you deployed not just a vApp, but a multi-tiered application through App Director?
I didn't. You guys did.
Oh, that's right. I did this.
Yeah.
This is truly seamless. It's all automated for me.
Yeah, it makes it easier for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can bring more applications to market really quickly this way. But there's something else I want to point out here. It's something that you don't see. Because what you don't see is any infrastructure. We're just defining the application, and that's separate from the infrastructure. Now, you know that typically speaking, when you're deploying applications, you have to customize them for the infrastructure that they're running on. That's a lot of manual work. Now that can be done automatically, because vCloud Application Director understands how to provision 2 different types of clouds, vSphere, EC2, what have you. And exactly that's what you saw in our service catalog. You had options of where to provision Project Vulkan.
That's great. So you're telling me now the application is decoupled from the infrastructure. That's why this happened so quickly.
Yep.
That's
Makes it
great.
easy.
That's very good. So let's look at a couple takeaways from this last demo. So first, as we just said, we're able to now streamline application provisioning because it's all automated and it's self-service for me. We decouple the application from the infrastructure, and because it's all automated, we can reduce the steps and the cost associated with deploying this application, and there's a lot less human intervention, which means there will be a lot less errors.
And that's a big thing for IT, actually, because it's typically speaking when you're standing up new applications that these errors are induced. You make a mistake in a firewall rule. That can bring down a business-critical app that's been up and running for quite a while. So by removing the human error component, by automating all this, we can keep our business-critical applications up and running.
That's great, Kit. So I'm really impressed. I understand the cost associated with deploying an application in the infrastructure, and I understand that through a self-service portal in a couple clicks, I can actually provision my own applications. But I know there's a lot more to provisioning an application, and it requires infrastructure. It requires things like networking and storage. And when it comes to networking, I actually at times believe networking slows down the application provisioning process, and this is why. Because today, I know it's very easy to provision a virtual machine, and we can literally do this in minutes, and some of you have tools and you've automated it that can be done in seconds. But when we want to provision networking services like layer 2 through 7 network services, we have to take that virtual machine and we have to pass it down the assembly line known as conventional networking configuration. We got to go to someone to provision a switch. We got to provision a router. We got to implement security. We may even have to implement a load balancer in front of it. This is not automated, Kit. So are you telling me there's a way now that we can deploy that application, get all of these networking services at the same time?
There is. But let's talk about why this is so hard. Why does it take days today? What's the fundamental problem here? The fundamental issue is that the virtual machine is still tied to the physical network hardware. If you think back to before compute virtualization, we had the same issue going on with applications and physical machines. If you want to stand up a new application, you have to get the physical machine already. There's a lot of manual work to configure that thing. And we have the exact same problem with networking, so we need to break that chain.
Yeah, Pat talked about that yesterday, but he also talked about this powerful new platform called NSX. So how does NSX change all of this?
OK, so what is NSX? Well, first, it starts off using your existing physical network hardware. There's no need to get anything new. There's no rip and replace. You can use what you have there today, even without any configuration changes. What we do is we layer on NSX on top of that. And NSX is implemented in software and implements a network hypervisor. So just like we saw with a compute hypervisor with ESX that separated the application from the physical machine underneath, we see the same thing with a network hypervisor. It separates the VM from the physical network underlying it. And what does it create? Well, it creates a virtual network that has all the properties of physical networks, things like L2 switching, L3 routing, firewalling, load balancing. But the best part is that it ties these services to the life cycle of an application or virtual machine. So when an application is created, these services are automatically created. When it's modified, the services are modified. And when the application is retired, those services are automatically retired.
So now, after you create a virtual machine, all the networking services remain with the virtual machine, and if it moves, it actually follows it.
Automatically.
Wow, can we see this in a live action in a demo form?
Yeah, let's check out a demo. So we're here in the vSphere web client. And again, if we think back to after vCloud Application Director ran, it was starting to configure the virtual machine, vCloud Automation Center also talked to NSX to start provisioning, switching, routing, firewall, and load balancing. Now we're sitting here looking at the vSphere web client, and some VI admins at the console, but he's not doing anything. He's just sitting there watching all these tasks fly by. That's because all this was automated. NSX did this automatically without needing any human intervention.
So the same interface all of these folks use today to provision virtual machines is actually now provisioning all the networking services.
That's exactly right.
Wow. That's why Pat said yesterday, all of these people are already experienced, if you will, in network provisioning.
Yep, you can leverage those existing skills and knowledge.
That's great.
So a lot of stuff just happened here, and it's kind of hard to tell, all these things flew by, all these tasks are happening. So let's take a second to go back to some slides to understand what just occurred. Now, what we have here is a 3-tier application. So what networking does this app need? Well, first, it needs switching so that the VMs within a tier can talk to each other. Then it needs routing so the different tiers can talk to each other and so that the application can talk to the outside world. And then you also need firewall, of course, because once you talk to the outside world, you've got security problems. And since this application is going to be so awesome, obviously,
Of course.
you need load balancing to scale that up.
So when you provisioned this multi-tiered application, there was all these dependencies it needed from the network. That all happened simultaneously.
Happened automatically.
So Kit, this seems way too good to be true. Can we take a step back and take a little deeper look at NSX and how all of this works?
Yeah, definitely. Let's drill into the next level. So before I describe how NSX works, it's instructive to understand how conventional networking works today. So let's start with switching. Now, when I create an application tier, what I actually have to do is go and manually configure the different physical switches so that that application tier can talk to within itself, to the different VMs.
So every time you create that virtual machine, you have to provision or configure those switches that lit up there in orange.
Right. It's a lot of manual work. And this is why it takes days. But I know you guys think we're sandbagging here in IT, but this actually is a lot of work.
So what happens if I want to add another virtual machine?
Well, it's a potentially different set of physical switches that you have to go and configure.
Okay, so
And you can see how much work this is, right?
That's a lot of work. So that's what slows down the application deployment.
Right, and it's a lot of manual effort as well, and there's a lot of errors that can get in there.
Okay,
so it's a
great.
big problem.
So how can NSX address switching?
Okay, so here's the idea. The idea is that we can move the intelligence out of the physical network and into the hypervisor. So now the hypervisor knows about the switching, and when you create an application tier, it can automatically create the switching information necessary so that that tier can talk within itself.
Wow, that's powerful. And I also notice here that we have something that says hypervisor with NSX. And a lot of people say, VMware, hey, you've been a great company over the last decade. You have a great hypervisor. Are you now telling me this hypervisor includes an NSX hypervisor as well?
It's a hypervisor on steroids, you're right.
That's really powerful. That's one hell of a hypervisor. I like being a hypervisor company right now. So Kit, can we keep going and talk about routing? Because I know that at times, my virtual machines are on different IP subnets, so they have to go through a router. How do you address that with NSX?
Sure, NSX handles that. Again, let's talk about how routing works today. Just like with switching, you have a physical device you have to go and configure. So if you want to connect two application tiers, you have to update the routing tables in that physical router. But there's a bigger problem that not only did it set it up like that, but then on an ongoing basis, traffic between two VMs on different subnets have to get routed through that central router. And that can add a lot of latency and network congestion to your physical network.
Hey, Kit, I told you I'm a pretty technical business leader. I know that's called hairpinning, and hairpinning's not good in networking.
Wow, that's impressive knowledge,
Yeah,
Carl.
you like that, Kit?
Displaying knowledge of facts rather than just your opinions. I like it. I think we're getting somewhere. So yes, this is actually a big problem. And you're right, it adds traffic and latency, and worst of all, it reduces performance for your application.
Absolutely.
So how can NSX help with this? Well, just like with switching, we can move the intelligence for routing out of the hardware and into the hypervisor. Now when you create two application tiers and want them to talk to each other, it can be done automatically. And now you can even see that the routing is done intelligently. We make routing decisions at the host rather than at the physical router out there somewhere, which can significantly reduce things like hairpinning.
Yeah, so if we're reducing hairpinning, to me it looks like if we have to hit a router that's centralized in the network, if we take and now do that at the host itself, we'll reduce a significant amount of traffic that's going on the network.
Right.
How much traffic could that potentially decrease?
And that's a great question, because you might think to yourself, well, that's a nice feature, but how big is it? So it turns out a number of independent studies have confirmed that at least 70% of the traffic within a data center is just between machines in that data center. And that makes sense, right? Because if you get one packet into your application from the outside world, that has to go through your load balancer, your web server, your business logic tier, your database, and then all the way back. So that's like 10 or 20 packets just to respond to that single packet that came in. And those 10 or 20 packets are all going through that central router today. That's inefficient. And so you can have huge gains by being able to intelligently do routing point-to-point as we can
so my
with NSX.
application could potentially now perform better because all the routing is taking place on the same host if VMs have to talk to one another.
Right.
That's great, Kit. But I have some other challenges as well, and I'm always quite concerned about network security. And can NSX and this new powerful network virtualization platform actually start to have impact or help performance from a network perspective?
Definitely.
Specifically, security.
I know. Well, your app's going to be popular. I'm sure that people are going to try and hack it. So we need security. So just like with switching and routing, we can move the intelligence for the firewall and security out of the physical layer and into the hypervisor. Now, this is really important because it's fundamentally a better way of doing security.
Yeah, so the security state is now set at the virtual machine, and it doesn't have to go out to an external firewall in this case.
Right. So if we know a packet's going to be blocked, we can actually block it at the host. It never hits the wire. It never gives an intruder or someone trying to snoop on that packet the ability to pick it up. It's something that the networking guys call zero trust.
Yeah, I knew that.
Which I think is kind of the same level of trust that you have in IT there, Carl.
Actually, about 30 minutes in, I think our level of trust has gone up significantly.
Oh,
I really believe in you now.
Making progress. Good.
Yeah, we definitely are. But one more question. I told you that this Project Vulkan is a very powerful application, and a lot of people are going to want to get access to it. So I think we're going to need load balancing. Can we address load balancing with the NSX architecture?
Yeah. And again, not to spend too much time on it, but load balancing is the same concept. Just like with firewall, routing, and switching, we can move that intelligence into the hypervisor and automate it all for you.
Wow, Kit, that was a very powerful demo. And a few set of slides that actually helps us better understand the power of NSX in network virtualization. And what we really saw there was the ability to not only provision a virtual machine in minutes, and move from this conventional world of networking where it takes days to get layer 2 through 7 services to now a world where we provision a virtual machine and all the network services all in minutes. That is extremely powerful.
Right, and we absolutely have to do that if you want a true self-service type of architecture.
That's great. Now, Kate, yesterday, Pat was up here with Martine, and we heard from 3 very large customers like GE, eBay, and Citigroup talking about how they will implement network virtualization and leverage the NSX architecture. Do you know of anyone who's actually doing this today across their entire data center?
Yeah, we do. We have a number of customers who have implemented NSX. Let's hear from one of them right now. Please roll the video.
My name is Richard Soto, and I work for WestJet Airlines, Canada's preferred airline. Our primary focus is on providing exceptional guest experience at an affordable price. One of the problems that we found with our network is it was really well designed for what we call north-south traffic or client-server traffic, but it wasn't that well designed for east-west traffic or what we call server-to-server traffic. And what we're seeing now is a growth in the server-to-server traffic, and that's starting to stress our network. So where we see NSX having the ability to be able to help us solve these problems is with virtualized network and security, we can keep a lot of that east-west traffic inside the hypervisor, providing better performance and more reliability. And when we think about technologies like mobile computing and bring your own device, it means we need to apply more and more security policies to the network traffic.
We realized right away that we do have already a significant investment in hardware and infrastructure that we have to keep in place. We can't simply upgrade it at will. We have to realize the investment in that equipment. The NSX product we found is able to allow us to utilize that current investment in infrastructure as well as realize the vision we have for our security and networking in the data center.
I think software-defined networking is something that's going to be a major shift in the networking environment. And the fact that VMware is bringing that into their product line really shows that they're serious about their network virtualization and that they're thinking progressively about the future.
Wow, Kit, that was powerful.
Do you feel better about it?
I do. I absolutely believe in the NSX architecture and network virtualization. But everything you showed, Kit, was at time of virtual machine creation. That's good, but what if I'm already highly virtualized? In our environment, we have 80% of our workloads already in a virtualized environment. Can I migrate that over to, if you will, the new NSX architecture?
Good point. Yes, you can actually. Let's check out a demo to see how it works. So we're back here in the vSphere web client. And what we've done is selected a virtual machine that's currently connected to a conventional VLAN network. As you can see here, it's actually VLAN 100. So what we want to do is move this over and connect it to an NSX logical network.
Okay.
And we do that by creating a bridge between the NSX logical network and our conventional VLAN. You can see it here. So now there's a couple of options for how we do this. First option, we can power off the VM and then power it back on. And when it powers on, it'll be on the new network.
I'm sorry? What'd you say?
Power off and power on.
I know if you power off, power on anything, it goes down. I don't like that option. There has to be another way.
OK, no downtime. OK, so we have a different solution. We can use vMotion.
vMotion?
vMotion.
Did you say vMotion?
Yep.
vMotion is used to move one virtual machine from one physical machine to another. It has nothing to do with networking, Kit.
I know, but this works.
Really?
Yeah, let's check it out. So we're currently executing the vMotion. When this vMotion completes, the VM will now be on the new NSX network. There's no downtime. Moreover, there's no disruption. Because of the bridge, this VM can still talk to the VMs on the conventional VLAN network.
So wait, you use vMotion to take a virtual machine that was running on a VLAN and migrate it over to, if you will, NSX.
Right. As you can see here, it's actually, the new network is there now.
So really what you did is a V2V for networking.
Precisely.
Very good.
No
That's
downtime.
really good.
So it gets all the benefits of NSX, including elasticity, ease of management, performance, while at the same time being able to talk to your conventional VLAN network. So you get everything you want and no downtime.
That's great, Kit. So that's really exciting if now I'm virtualized. But as I said, I'm only 80% virtualized, so I still have some applications that are running on physical machines and physical networks. Is there a way to actually do a P2V and get on the NSX architecture as well?
Yeah, there is, actually. So just how we saw with our virtual machine here, we can also connect a physical machine to an NSX logical network and get all the benefits of NSX for that physical machine.
So let's just step back and look at the takeaways from all of this NSX excitement that we brought here to Barcelona, Spain. Number one, the intelligence in the network is now all done through software. And because of this, we can get speed and we can get agility. And we're using the same operating model and principles that we did to deploy virtual machines for compute virtualization. And last but not least, everything we've talked about here today does not require an upgrade to your existing infrastructure. There is no rip and replace to have to get to network virtualization. This is extremely powerful, Kit.
I'm glad you're excited, Carl.
I'm really excited. But I also know, Kit, there's more to infrastructure than just networking. And in fact, one of the areas I always have a concern about is storage, right? It's always costing me money. You're always saying it's going to cost this, that. You give me another bill. And really, I want to, before you tee up probably another demo for storage, I'd like to give you a few pointers on the dependencies my applications have. Sure. So first and foremost, like Project Vulkan, my applications need to get to market, and they need to get to market fast. I need predictable performance out of storage for my applications, and I need to set an SLA that if it needs to scale, you can always guarantee me the SLA and the policy you set will be there and available. And last but not least, if that application scales, I want to understand the cost with storage as we scale out Project Vulkan.
Wow.
There are a lot of dependencies.
A lot of demands, I would say, actually.
I'm not that demanding, Kit, actually.
OK, well, let's talk about this. So as you know, Carl, VMware has been in the business of storage innovations for many, many years. Most of you are familiar with all the innovations we have in vSphere. And yesterday, Pat talked about all the cool new innovations we're doing within the software-defined storage space. In particular, for today, I'd like to talk a little bit about virtual SAN, since I think that'll address a lot of your concerns.
I'd love to hear it.
OK, so what exactly is virtual SAN? Virtual SAN radically simplifies storage, and it does this by using all the direct attached storage from all the hosts in a cluster. It takes them and pools them together into a giant logical data store that's then available for all the VMs on that cluster to use. But the best thing about it is that virtual SAN is able to intelligently use both SSDs and spinning disks to allow you to get great performance while at the same time reducing costs.
Hold on a second. You're telling me now you can take advantage of local disk and flash that sit on servers today that typically aren't used in VMware virtualized environments.
Right. These disks are out there on the servers, but people aren't taking advantage of them yet.
Yeah, not at all. So now that's what virtual SAN does.
Right.
OK, can we go in and see a demo of this?
Definitely. So let's check out the demo. Now, we're back here in the vSphere web client. And what we've done is selected a cluster that we want to enable virtual SAN on. Okay. What I want to show is how simple it is to enable this. It's just as easy as enabling DRS or HA. So we can just go over here, click on Edit.
OK.
And then we check the checkbox and hit OK. That's pretty much it.
And now we have virtual SAN.
Yeah, so what's happening is that while we're talking up here, virtual SAN is going off in the background and finding all those direct attached disks to our hosts, and then bringing them together to create our virtual SAN data store.
Wow, so through just a couple clicks, we were able to take advantage of that unused local disk and flash that exists on many of the hosts running VMware today.
Right, the key is to make it super simple to use.
Even I could have done that, but I noticed you did it in this case.
Even a business guy could do it.
Okay,
yeah.
very
That's our
good.
bar.
So Kit, that was quite impressive, but as you know, I keep telling you how popular my application is. How do we make this scalable?
Right, that's a good question. So let's actually go and check out this virtual SAN data store that we just created. So we can see it here, and whoa, look at that. Somehow it's almost been all the way used up. It's been like 3 seconds, dude, and your guys are already using it.
8,500 people wanted access to it.
It's crazy. I guess Project Vulkan might actually be popular. Okay, so we see there's an alarm here, meaning we're almost out of space. But luckily, it's really easy to extend the size of our virtual SAN data store. All we need to do is just add another host. You'll remember that virtual SAN uses all the direct attached storage from all hosts in the cluster. So if we add another host, it means we have more direct attached storage, and thus our virtual SAN data store can be bigger. So we're going through the workflow here of adding that host. And when that host is added, virtual SAN will automatically detect that and bring in that additional storage.
So basically, through a couple clicks again, you added a host to a cluster, which actually gave us more network capacity and now storage capacity.
Exactly.
Wow, that's
right.
really powerful.
And on network capacity, because we're using NSX, we can make intelligent routing decisions and have that optimized network performance as well.
That's really powerful. That's great.
So let's go back and check out our data store now to see how it's doing. All right, look at that.
Storage.
So before it was almost completely full,
yeah.
And now it's just about half full, or I guess half empty. I don't know what your outlook on life is.
I'm very optimistic on life, quite honestly. In this case, I'm going to be a pessimist because I know more people are going to come in, so it's half empty because it'll fill up quickly. Ken.
Of course. So yeah, that's all there is to it. That's how simple it is.
So tell me a little bit more about the virtual SAN architecture and whether or not you can meet some of the resiliency needs I have of this application.
Okay. Right. So the question here is, look, you're using local disks. Local disks don't seem very resilient, right? You know, what's going on? And that's right. So what we had to do is build resiliency into the software, intelligence into our virtual SAN data stores. So what we do here is actually you can create policies to say, I want a certain number of copies of my virtual machine's data on different disks. So in this case, we've selected 2 copies. Again, simple case. Now I know you probably want 10 or something for redundancy. Well, how this works is that every time the virtual machine does a write, that write goes to both copies, or all the copies. And once that data has been written, it then sends the ACK back to the virtual machine. Okay. This ensures that if one of the disks were to go down, like we see here, there's still another copy of the data. Virtual SAN will detect that failure and automatically replicate that disk to ensure there's still 2 copies.
That's great. So you clearly have showed in a cluster we have resiliency. But what if a cluster or a data center were to go down? How do you help my application get back up and running?
That's a good question. So, well, first let me just build out the rest of the slide, and we can show the build here of the new write coming in going to those new disks. But in terms of your question, you're saying, look, virtual SAN provides high availability within a cluster. What happens if my entire data center goes down? And that's a good question, because virtual SAN can't take care of that. So what we've done is extended virtual SAN with integration into vSphere replication to do disaster recovery scenarios to remote data centers. We've also integrated it with vSphere data protection to do backup and restore for virtual SAN data stores. So I think this should address your issues.
That's great. Virtual SAN, a powerful platform to extend infrastructure that's traditionally not being used in their data centers today.
So you're paying attention.
Yeah, very good. So what are a couple key takeaways from this demo? First and foremost, we were able now to set storage policy at time of virtual machine provisioning, no longer setting policies at the data store. And we actually were able to scale storage as we scaled compute and networking with NSX. And last but not least, as I said, we're able to not just extend, but we're able to leverage the unused capacity that most of you have today on your local disk and flash of your servers. And I'm sure everybody wants access to this great code.
It's really cool stuff.
Yeah, it is. And as Pat said yesterday, at VMworld in San Francisco 6 weeks ago, we announced the availability of this in beta form. And all of you can now go and get access to this great technology, Virtual SAN, by simply going to www.vsanbeta.com. Very, very good.
Do you feel better now? Have I answered all your questions?
Most of them. I am really confident that you know how to deliver a software-defined data center from the provisioning of an application all the way through the infrastructure. But we all know that application is only as good as the users who get access to it. And I also know that the faster I get my users access to applications, the more productive they'll be. So there's a couple things that I need to be able to make my people more productive. And I want some of the same things that we just talked about from the application provisioning perspective, but let me start off and tell you what I really need. So first and foremost, I need my users to be able to collaborate in different ways, get access to data and files like they've never done in the past. And oh, by the way, they need access to applications, whether they're on-premise or potentially running in a SaaS environment. And all of this needs to be accomplished through any device I want to use. This is a device freedom world that we live in. The proliferation of devices everywhere, I want to use whatever I want. And oh, by the way, one last thing. I want to be able to do this in a very self-service manner. Just like I deployed applications, I want to be able to deploy my desktops.
That's a lot of needs. You want a pony with that? I mean, I'm doing miracles here. I may as well toss in something else.
An ice cream will do after the demo, Kit. That's fine.
OK.
So, Kit, do you have any dependencies or requirements?
Look,
these are mine.
Yeah, OK. Can I just say something first of all? Because we in IT understand your concerns. I mean, we're end users too. We want the same things, right? But here's the issue. We got all these devices coming in. We got all this data everywhere. This is a crazy amount of stuff. So what we in IT need fundamentally is control. We need to be able to enforce our rules and policies to assert that control. And we need automation to do that automatically for us, because honestly, we can't keep up with all these devices coming in. And we finally need to secure the endpoints so that our data and applications, we don't lose them.
So what we're talking about here is end user freedom with IT control.
That's what we want.
You're always in control, Kit.
Of course I am. I'm IT.
OK. So let me see how I can actually now start to provision my own desktops and applications.
Right. Let's take a look at a demo. So let's try to provision a virtual desktop for you. So the cool thing about a virtual desktop is it's obviously not tied to any physical device. You can pick up an iPad or a laptop or whatever it is and connect to this thing. So we're back here in vCloud Automation Center. And now what we want to do is provision that virtual desktop. And so we can see here there's a different set of options because we're logging in as an end user rather than as an application owner before. And again, we in IT have control over who sees what options.
So Kit, now you're telling me through vCloud Automation Center, not only can I provision applications, but as an individual, I can come into this portal and actually start to provision my desktops.
Precisely.
Wow.
So let's take a look. So we can see on the upper right-hand corner here, we have a desktop. Let's go select it and make a request to provision it. So just like before, when we're provisioning Vulkan, there's a couple of pieces of info to type in. And now we get another choice here. What kind of storage profile do you want for this virtual desktop?
Am I provisioning my own desktop?
We're getting it for you.
I want gold.
Of course you do.
Of course.
You
Only the best.
You got to look out for number one. All right, so we're going to do gold. And then we can submit our request. And that's it. Previously, if you wanted a virtual desktop, you had to file a ticket and wait a few days. And that could obviously impact productivity. Now, if you need a desktop, we can go to this one place, click a few buttons, and get it provisioned for you automatically in just seconds.
That's great, Kit. But let me tell you a little bit about my users. They are truly power users. And I like this whole notion of a self-service portal to get access to desktops. But I want to understand whether or not VDI can meet the requirements of a power user that I have, for example, in my developer community.
Right. That's a great question. Let's take a look at that.
That's great.
So the reality is that we've been working on Horizon View and adding innovations there every year, year after year. And we've been expanding the scope of use cases and applications that can run inside of a VDI environment. The reality now is that VDI is mainstream. We've reduced costs to that on par of a physical machine. We've also decreased complexity by making it easier to deploy and configure, by being able to start up thousands of virtual desktops in just a matter of minutes. And we've also enhanced the user experience through things like protocol improvements, SSDs, so on and so forth. And finally, just what Pat announced yesterday, desktop as a service, a totally different way to deliver virtual desktops that gives you more flexibility and choice.
So you're telling me there is no reason at all not to be able to deploy VDI across the enterprise, even for power users?
Exactly. The idea here is that if you look at what we've done with vSphere 5.5, you can now run any application in a virtualized environment without fear of a performance penalty. We're finding the exact same thing with VDI, where you can now run any app you want.
OK, great. So Kit, that's great. So I can get access to desktops. But if I have a desktop and I can't get access to applications, what good is the desktop? So how can I start to get some of the same self-service capabilities for accessing my applications that you just showed me for the desktop.
Right. So let's check out another demo here. So what we're looking at here is a product called Horizon Workspace. Horizon Workspace is the one place you can go to access all your applications and data on any device. So you can see here all the different apps that IT has allowed you to access.
So this is me logging in the morning, and these are all the applications now I can gain access to.
Right, and we in IT have full control over this. Just like vCloud Automation Center, we can specify what applications you have access to. We have SaaS apps, web apps, thin apps, Zen apps, mobile apps. Everything's right here for you to access. But the best part is the simplification of it. It makes your life so much easier because now you log into one place, and all your apps are right there, just one click away. There's no need to remember URLs or passwords or anything else. It's all just one-click access.
So now, through single sign-on, I can get access to all of my applications, and I don't have to go to the back of my book and look up all my passwords any longer.
Right, you write down your passwords?
I do. Sorry, Kit. I'm not as smart as you. You're an engineer. With that being said, Kit, you know, I see one application here, quite honestly, that I'm not sure that I can get access to because I run a native Mac. And there's one application here called OneNote, and I know OneNote can't run on a native Mac. How's it going to work in Horizon now?
Right, there is no copy of OneNote that runs natively on a Mac.
It doesn't work.
Well, but it's listed here, so let's click on it and see what happens.
That's my question, Kit.
So, okay, again, one-click access, no password, no URL, no nothing. We just click on it. And now it's launching. There it goes.
Ah, this is all my data.
Yeah, it's your stuff right here.
So through my Mac, I'm getting access to OneNote.
Yep.
And this is taking place if I look up in the left-hand corner through something called Citrix Viewer. So are you telling me now we're actually running Zen app and it's being delivered through Horizon?
The point here is to give you flexibility and choice, and that some applications aren't written for certain devices or platforms. And so the idea is we want to be able to deliver any app to any device. And so yes, we now support running Zen apps and piping them through Horizon Workspace, so you have the freedom of choice that you want.
That's a feature and function that our customers have been asking us for a long time, and I'm sure you're all excited to see us being able to actually accept requests from a Zen app, you know, streaming video in this case, or in this case, OneNote
streaming application
to me. That's really good, Kit. But I have another question for you, Kit. I just recently went to the Mac store.
Apple Store.
Apple Store, Mac store, and guess what I got? Look at that thing. I got a new iPhone, an iPhone 5S. Is that pretty?
You know there's no actual phone right there, right?
This is a demo, Kit. Go with it.
Okay.
Look at that 5S.
So you got yourself a 5S. Let me guess. Did you get a gold one?
Actually, I got a yellow one.
Dude, it doesn't come in yellow.
They special ordered it for me, Kit.
I think they gave you a 5C and charged an extra $100 there, Carl.
So I want to be able to use my iPhone to get access to all these applications just like I did my desktop.
Right. Yeah, and irrespective of what your phone is, whether it's a C or S or whatever, the point is that, yes, Horizon Workspace can give you access to your applications from that device.
That's great. So let's look at a couple takeaways from this last demo. So first and foremost, we have self-service access and provisioning, not just of desktops, but also of our applications. And we also now, through policy and automation, we can be sure that you have security, compliance, and control.
Right, and that's the big thing for us, is that we need to stay in control, and this allows us to do that. It allows us to wrap our arms around all these devices coming in and all this data proliferating everywhere.
Kit, I tell you, I'm really impressed with you and what IT can do for the line of business. And I must say, I stand here today completely confident that you can deploy the software-defined data center and give me access to both applications and desktops.
That's great.
Very easily.
Awesome.
Thanks for your time today, Kit.
Whoa there, Tiger. Hold on a second.
Tiger?
Not getting rid of me that quickly.
Where'd Tiger come from?
It's a figure of speech. Look.
Kit, that wasn't in the rehearsal.
I've just been thinking a little bit about that video that you showed when I first came out.
I don't recall.
Yeah, of course. How convenient. Well, it's just what you guys in the business thought of us in IT. And I thought it was only appropriate that we in IT, and by we in IT, I mean my 8,000 friends and me, show you line of business guys what we think of you.
Well, why would you do that? I thought we like each other.
You guys are so demanding. You're never happy.
Come on,
You're so
Kit.
ridiculously specific with every request you have.
I don't buy it, Kit.
Let's roll the video.
What can I get you?
I'll have a number 3.
I'd like the chef salad, please, with the oil and vinegar on the side and the apple pie a la mode.
Chef and apple a la mode.
But I'd like the pie heated, and I don't want the ice cream on top. I want it on the side, and I'd like strawberry instead of vanilla if you have it. If not, then no ice cream, just whipped cream, but only if it's real. If it's out of a can, then nothing.
Not even the pie?
No, just the pie, but then not heated.
Uh-huh.
What?
What?
What
Kit,
indeed?
come on, I'm not that demanding.
You're not?
Listen, I'm not that difficult to deal with. Just because I don't like my food to touch and I use divider plates doesn't make me difficult to work with.
Carl, look, you are demanding, but you know what? You keep us in IT, you keep us honest.
Kit, thanks for the partnership and great job today.
Hey, thanks a lot, Carl.
Thank you very much. Kit Colbert. So in the first half of our demo today, what we saw was Kit truly bring the software-defined data center to life. And we showed that we can easily deploy applications, both the application and all the infrastructure it needs, through a few clicks. And lastly, we showed that we can allow users to leverage any device they want and securely get access to their applications. So me, as a line of business leader, I feel very comfortable in this new world of the software-defined data center. And I believe that we can truly bring applications to market fast. But everything seems so new. And to operate in this new world of the software-defined data center, I need to get comfortable that IT knows how to manage, operate, and automate this new environment. And in our second half of the demo here, I'd like to welcome to stage Joe Baguley to help me get more comfortable that IT truly knows how to operate in this new world of the SDDC. Joe Baguley, please join me on stage, our CTO for EMEA. Joe. Hey, Joe, welcome.
Hi, Carl. How you doing?
You must feel right at home here, Joe.
It's closer to home than San Francisco was, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So, Joe, we had a great first half of the demo up here with Kit, and I really got comfortable as a line of business leader that I can get access to infrastructure and I can provision both desktops and applications quite easily. But I'm not yet convinced that IT knows how to operate in this new world. And every time I talk to you, you say it's quite complex. And why is it so complex? I don't understand. Joe made it look so, Kit made it look so easy, but tell me why it's so complex to manage or operate IT today.
Okay, so I worked in operations for the first part of my career, and let me tell you what it's like.
Okay. I'd love to hear about it, Joe.
What you have is silos, right? So you have the networking guys, the storage guys, the compute guys, the server guys, the security guys in the corner with their special hats, and all the other teams that don't talk to each other. And at the same time, each of those teams have developed their own individual tool sets that they've maybe bought from lots of different vendors. And really comes the problem is to get them to talk to each other. They just don't. It's typically emails, phone calls, maybe an advanced service desk or something like that. The real problem comes when there is a problem, right? And that's when what we do is we all get together in the war room and start pointing fingers at each other and arguing.
Did you say war room?
Yeah, the war room.
Anytime I hear IT say war room, I know that's not a good thing.
I did actually work at an organization that had a meeting room in the IT ops division dedicated as the war room, specifically for having arguments in.
Well, Joe, I'm glad you're not working there any longer.
No, so am I, to be honest, and I wouldn't really want to work at an organization anymore that has a room designated for arguments. I don't know about you guys. But I think the real problem here is that this system of these silos is going to face challenges, massive challenges. Because as we move forward into the world that you've just been shown by Kit, it's starting to become highly dynamic. You guys are creating hundreds of machines, thousands of machines on demand, maybe not only just in our data center, but in a public data center. And all of that scale is going to add to the complexity of the issues that we have. So we need to start thinking differently in ops about how we deal with this.
So Joe, tell me a little bit more, because I still don't understand why it's so complex. Kit made it look so easy.
Okay, so let me show you typically how we build this together today. A classic three-tier application, similar to the one that you were deploying, has interactions between multiple different silos to make it run. And if you come to me with an addition, a change, or rolling out a new app, the answer to you might be, yes, Carl, we can roll out that new app, but it's going to take about 3 weeks. And in fact, we've just had to add another week on because it relies on a particular script that Bob wrote, and Bob's on holiday.
Script?
Yeah, script.
Script is a very highly manual process, and that slows things down. I don't like scripts, Joe.
No, and to be honest, a lot of people don't like scripts either. I tend to think of them, in some cases, they're actually implemented not really for automation, and more just a kind of posh way of doing manual.
Did you say posh?
Yeah, it's an English word for stylish and elegant. I'm surprised you don't know that word.
That was not in rehearsal either.
I know.
Joe, why don't you keep going?
OK, so what happens is that all this causes friction and problems, the stuff you were talking about earlier, specifically around the networking, for example. What we need is a new approach. We need to stop having the old paper thing suddenly put into a piece of scripting, and instead we need to move to a policy-based approach. Now, policy-based automation is different. This time, we're not looking at fixed routes and fixed processes. We're looking at processes that change dynamically based on conditions. And how they change and how they react is based entirely on policy. So really, what we're doing here is we're building the tools that can deal with this scale and complexity as we grow.
So Joe, that dashboard looks a lot simpler to the one on the left. Take me into a demo that shows me how you actually get to see this new interface in how to manage in this new world of the software-defined data center through something called vCops.
OK, so let's start with a demo. But we're not going to start in vCops. We're going to start in vCloud Automation Center.
Oh, so vCloud Automation Center, where we were earlier looking at my application.
Yeah, so this is your application right now.
Yeah, but do you notice something, Joe?
Yeah.
My application is orange. When Kit was up here, it was green. It was healthy.
Yeah, it's orange now.
Yeah, that's a problem.
OK, now before you start picking up the phone and shouting at people just because you've seen a funny picture, let's read the words, OK? And see what it actually says. Because I know
is there words here, Joe?
Yeah, there's words there, right? It's quite
They're
difficult.
awfully small from up here.
OK, so what you'll see there is it's telling you we've got performance-related issues.
Yes.
And the important piece is underneath that where it says that we're taking an automated remediation action. So what that means is, yes, it's orange, so you can have a little bit of a panic, but actually calm down again quickly because the system is going to fix itself using some of the automated policies.
Wait a second. The system's going to fix itself?
Yeah.
How do I get comfortable with that? How do I trust the system knows what it's doing?
I could just tell you that it fixes itself. Is that OK?
No, I want to see it.
All right, OK, so let's show you. So this time we'll go and look in vCloud Application Director. And if you look in vCloud Application Director at the top there, you see the little spinny picture? OK, great.
You know what that is?
That's
my application auto-scaling out.
That's brilliant, right?
Pretty smart.
Well done.
Huh?
Congratulations, you've got a successful application. And realistically, that's it. It's showing us that the reason why we've got an orange is there's an auto-scale-out occurring, so something's happening, and it's reacting to that. It's dealing with that for you. And I mean, do you want me to take you a little bit deeper to show you that?
I would love that.
Right,
Please.
OK, fine. So if we now go and look behind the curtain in Operations Manager, you'll see here what's actually going on.
Okay.
And you'll see that graph on the right there. That's going down and to the right, which is a performance problem.
Yeah, anything down and to the right is not good, Joe.
I know, we found in research that even salespeople get that. And what you'll find is that it's crossed a dynamic threshold. And the dynamic's the key bit.
I don't know if you noticed, I just decided not to respond. Joe, keep going, by the way.
OK, all right, I'm fine. This is the last presentation I'm ever going to do. So you've crossed a dynamic threshold there. Now, the important thing about dynamic thresholds is it was set automatically by the system. It monitored what the application normally did, and it said, oh, we've stepped outside of that. There's an anomaly, which is what's showing up at the bottom.
So basically, it's watching the application and its performance, and it proactively detects if something's about to happen in the infrastructure.
Yeah, and it said, we've got an issue, and it's taking action and auto-scaling based on that. And if we look even further in here, and we drill in, you'll see down here, it should come up on the bottom right, that the request going up, the request per minute has gone up through the roof, right? Because of your fabulous Project Vulkan, which is amazing.
You were listening while you were in the back.
Yeah, I was listening, not just on Twitter the whole time. So that was cool. So really, the whole point here is that we've made it all automatic, right? Though there's all this stuff going on behind the covers that we can look at if we want to, you don't have to worry, and we don't have to really do anything because of the policy-based automation means that we're going to deal with a lot of these issues automatically as they arise. Is that cool?
That's really good. So what do we just see here, Joe?
Well, what you're showing in this demo with the automated remediation is that it's policy-driven, it's automated, and giving a proactive response. At the same time, it's driven by intelligent analytics, right? We're not putting this stuff in ourselves all the time. It's actually building this up automatically.
And that's great. And as a business owner, I now have visibility not only into the application, but the health of the application, which is really important to me. So can we now go back after all this remediation has happened and see the health of my application?
Yeah, of course. Let's go back and have a look at your console again. This time we'll go back into vCloud Automation Center.
Okay.
And there you'll see there's the list of your applications, and you'll see auto scale at the top there on that one. And if we click through to check now the health of Project Vulkan, now this auto scale's happened, we should be able to see that we're getting better.
Joe.
Yeah.
It's not green, it's yellow.
Yeah, that's better than orange, right?
I guess what... I guess it depends what part of the world you're from.
Okay, fine. We have different traffic light systems over here. So if you look here, this time it's yellow, right?
Yep.
But again, not just the pretty pictures, read the words. And so if we read the words, it says that your administrator is aware of the issue and will take some action accordingly, and maybe even suggest that you have to take some action for it.
So can I be involved in any decision along the way here?
We'll make sure you're involved in any decision we deem to be appropriate.
Joe, you're learning quick.
So let's have a look through now and talk about this, because in this real world, things are more complex, right? It's not just auto-scale, bang, done, right? First of all, the application has to be an auto-scale app to support that in the first place. So here you're seeing that you're kept informed as we go through this, but let's have a look at how we're going to address this as admins. And if you look at this demo, in vCenter Operations Manager, we're going to start taking action. And as you look there, you'll see it says the Vulkan application I/O usage is not suitable with the storage tier selected. Now, I was watching out the back, and I saw that you selected silver.
I know you're going to say I picked silver. I should have picked gold.
So because of your wonderfully successful and popular application, we have a problem. And if you look down the bottom there, it's actually telling you to move the database server tier up to the gold level. All right, so that's basically what we're going to do. So as us admins, we're going to go and move that to the gold level for you.
Okay, so how do I know and how can I trust that this is the right thing to do?
Okay, well, so, I mean, this isn't just feeds from us, right? This isn't just our hypervisor giving us this information.
Yeah, because there's a whole bunch of other infrastructure out there. How do we really understand everything that's going on in the environment through vCops?
Okay, so let's have a look at the tab here. And you'll see in vCenter Operations Manager, we're pulling in feeds from, in this example, people like NetApp, EMC, and we also include people like Brocade. So all of this stuff feeds up to give this intelligence to the system and information. So what you can be assured about is that we're making these decisions based on a whole bunch of different feeds and the entire picture, not just, you know, our little bit of the hypervisor or whichever bit that you think is ours.
So are you saying vCops has connectors into all of these other management platforms that you have in IT today?
Correct,
It's pulling information all the time from them to really determine how the application's running, its behavior, and potentially telling me before anything even goes wrong because it sees what's going on across the entire infrastructure.
We're making sure that we're well equipped in this automated system.
That's really powerful. That's good.
And so what we can now do is we know we're getting the feeds from everyone. Yep. We know it's the right thing to do. So at this point, we go and we click and take action.
Okay.
But the interesting thing here is that as we take action, you'll find that what happens is it doesn't happen immediately. It gets stopped for a reason, right? And that reason is the fact that we need your approval to move it to gold.
So are you calling me the bottleneck?
Yeah, in a way, yeah, I suppose. So you can't blame us for your application.
So let's take action, because I want to see how I now can get involved.
So if we go ahead and do that, you'll now see that in your vCloud Automation Center, there's an inbox tab. And if you go there, there's a mail. And if we click and open up that mail, you'll see it's a mail to you, carl@vmware.com, right there. And it's telling you that there's a cost impact due to a tier change that's going on. If you clicked on, you know, additional information, you'd be told a lot more about that.
Okay.
But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to put in a justification, which is what you would do. And then once that justification's in, it's down to you to click approve. And
I can do that. Let me do it.
Go on, you try.
Approve.
Is that like your virtual iPhone?
Yes.
It's like virtual Mac. Oh, great. Okay. So now you've approved that, what's actually happening is, in the background, that database is moving from the silver tier to the gold tier using actually storage vMotion in vSphere to move it in real time.
Okay, great. So I actually got to say I want to move it to a new tier of storage. Can we now go and take a look at my application and see the health of it?
Okay, we'll see what color the picture is now, shall we? Let's
please.
go and have a look. So let's go back and have a look and see what color the picture is for you. And hopefully, if we've got this demo working, yep, we're green. Okay, so now we're good. You happy with that?
That's great, thanks.
Fantastic.
It started off green, you went orange, you went yellow, you got me back to green. Thanks so much. So tell me a little bit about what we just saw in this demo.
So what you saw there was the sort of step beyond automated remediation, and now we're into guided remediation. And the guided remediation is bringing in information from a broad ecosystem, as we saw from all of our partners. It improves the accuracy. But we've built into that specific recommendation so we can speed that troubleshooting up. So that when we're trying to fix these problems, we're getting all the information we need as fast as possible to make it as easy.
And what I saw is that workflows were completely driven by policies, and I need to approve any changes to the infrastructure so I can actually approve any changes to the cost to run my application.
We make sure you have some control over costs.
Thank you. Thanks for getting me involved. I appreciate that. So that's great, and we did a self-remediation demo to show how an application can actually go out and automatically move from a state of orange to yellow to green. But how do I know that you know what happened? You have yet to tell me what happened in the infrastructure. So how do I go back and get information about what actually occurred, and how do you give me the confidence it won't happen again?
Okay, well, let me tell you another reality of IT ops. So in IT ops, we have a problem is that typically IT ops is about fixing things, getting them up fast, keep it running, keep you guys from phoning us up, telling us you've seen different colored pictures, right? Let's keep this thing going as fast as possible. And supposedly then we're in our spare time meant to go out and do root cause analysis. Now, that isn't very often, to be honest. So what we're trying to do is make sure that with the automation, we should have more spare time to go and do this kind of remediation. But now we have another problem. We have much more to look at. We've got scale now.
Scale?
Yeah, because previously, you know, the guys out there maybe manage 10, 15, 20 servers. They know the names of all their servers, right? They know the IP addresses of all those servers. They probably even take pictures of those servers and show them to their friends on Facebook. But in reality, in the future that we're building here with these automated deployments and the new world of scale, there are no names anymore. There's hundreds of servers, thousands of servers. And if you think about hundreds of servers or thousands of machines, and each of those machines generating thousands of events, suddenly, troubleshooting and managing this stuff becomes a big data problem.
Did you say big data?
Yeah, I'm big on buzzwords today.
Yeah, it's a really big industry buzzword. So are you telling me now VMware can address the big data challenges you get with all these feeds?
Yeah, so we recognized in the Office of the CTO a problem around this monitoring at scale and kicked off a project which has grown up to become a big data analytics solution to deal with this. And that's how we're going to address it. And this analytics solution is Log Insight, version 1.5 we've announced this week. And in fact, let's show you how that works. If we see down there on the screen we saw before with the yellow on, under Health, there's a View Log Insight Messages. This is where we'd get more information in our troubleshooting if we wanted to look. And as we click on that, you'll see that what it's done is the intelligence has filtered automatically 15 events for us that are specific to that error.
15 events?
Yeah, 15.
That's not a big data challenge.
No, okay, right. But the interesting thing is the diagnostic process here, because those 15 events, none of them on their own are an error. Okay. But if you look at what those events are, they're actually events telling you we're provisioning storage because someone is creating more instances.
I'll bet you that's because I clicked auto scale.
Exactly. Because of your auto scale option, it's not the fact that we've provisioned one piece of storage, it's the fact that we've provisioned so much storage in such a short period of time. That's what's interesting to us. But just to give you an idea of the power and what a big data problem really is, let's take the filter away.
Okay, we'll remove the filter.
Let's take the filter away and see how many events we pulled this from. And it's going to be difficult to see from anywhere back from the third row, but we've pulled this from 65 million events.
65 million events.
Yeah, in a short period of time, right?
I don't want IT going through 65 million events to tell me what happened.
Well, I mean, I don't know about these guys out there, but I certainly wouldn't want to go sifting and grepping through 65 million events if I could even collect them into one place in the first place. So what we've done is we've built a tool that makes all this easy and automated at scale. But now we know what happened. We know there was a scale issue. We know we had to suddenly rapidly provision more storage. We had to up the tier to a better tier. We now know, and we can assure you that now we're on gold, it's not going to happen again. Does that make you feel better now?
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm definitely getting there, Joe.
Fantastic. And the reason why you feel better is because in this new world, we do need these new tools. We need these new methodologies. This world is going to be bigger, faster, and more challenging than ever before. You're not managing tens of things, it's hundreds of things, thousands of things. And the tools need to change for that, and that's what this is.
So I don't know about you, Joe, but I'm guessing that all of the people here at VMworld would love to get their hands on Log Insight.
I think if they're as geeky as me, they would, yeah.
Do you think they'd like it for free?
You never give anything away for free.
Well, I'm going to today. What I'd like to say today, if you're here at VMworld Europe, you actually can get 5 free licenses of vCenter Log Insight. And to find out more about that, just follow us on Twitter at VMLogInsight, and you can get access to these 5 free licenses. I hope you enjoy this new big data analytic tool from VMware.
That's really cool.
You like that?
Yeah.
I do too. So listen, everything we've done so far here today in the provisioning and the standing up of the software-defined data center and how you operate has all been in the context of a private cloud or within the 4 walls of my own data center. But I actually think it would be great if I could take advantage of all the promise that the public cloud has to offer. But I have a couple challenges for you. Not only do I want to get access to the public cloud, but I want to seamlessly extend the software-defined data center that Kip provisioned and you're now operating in. But not only do I want to seamlessly extend to the public cloud, I want to be able to write applications in the public cloud and very easily move those workloads back into my private cloud, truly creating a hybrid cloud approach to IT. And oh, by the way, one last thing. I want any application to run anywhere and I don't want you to change anything to your IT policies or procedures. Can you do that?
More than moderately demanding as ever, Carl. Yeah, okay. So, of course, we've got something that can help there.
Okay,
so let me show you a
see
demo
that.
of how we do that.
Okay, great.
This is the really, really cool bit. This is what gets me excited about vCloud Hybrid Service. This is the vSphere web client. This is the same vSphere web client these guys have been using for quite a while now, but at the top right, you'll notice there's a new icon, vCloud Hybrid Service.
The same vSphere web client they've used to provision virtual machines in the private cloud now shows an option to provision something in vCloud Hybrid Service.
That's exactly it. How can we make it easy as possible for people to access the hybrid service? Let's put it straight into the console they're already using. And so that's it. So let's click on that and see what they get. So if you click on that, you're taken to view your public vCloud Hybrid Service resources. You can see all of the different things you can access there and the machines you can put in. And the really cool thing about this is it's not just, we've put an icon in and suddenly mapped some pictures in. This is true integration. We've made it as seamless as possible. And to give you an idea of some of the integration we've done, let's look at templates. Now, templates are what we use to create virtual machines and to create applications as part of the blueprinting process. And here you'll see there's 7 templates in our public cloud. Now, 4 of those templates are synchronized across from the private cloud. They've synchronized across from our internal
So now I have
vCenter.
the same templates in both my private and public cloud.
Yeah, and what more important, we keep those in sync, so you can be assured that you're not going to have drift problems in the future. And in fact, let's demo that. So if we go back and look at the internal vCenter templates, you'll see there's a list there. Now what we're going to do is there's a couple of admins backstage helping us on the demo, and we've got Rob is going to change the Ubuntu template to be 2 CPUs, and Tina's going to add another template entirely, which is a reverse proxy template to this set. So if they've done that now, we should be able to click refresh, and those should come listed up there. There you go, we've now got the reverse proxy, and Ubuntu's now listed as 2. And the cool thing is, if we now flick back over to our hybrid service, straight, easy, click on there in the GUI, and you should then be able to see those templates are synchronized across. And there they are, right? Very simple.
Same templates in the private cloud and the public cloud, completely synchronized. When I want to deploy a new application, I can't get any drift because all the templates are the same.
Yeah, very simple.
Very good.
In fact, let's actually show you how easy it is to deploy now.
Okay, great.
So if we go back to that console that you started with, vCloud Automation Center, right?
Same console that I used earlier to provision Project Vulkan in my private cloud, I'm now going to use to provision Project Vulkan in the public. Specifically, vCloud Hybrid Service.
You've got it. So out of the choice of all of those different places we can manage with vCloud Automation Center, the one slap bang in the middle there is Project Vulkan on vCloud Hybrid Service. You'll see it right there. And so it's the same Vulkan app. It's a different icon because it's on hybrid, different picture. Okay. So we'll click there, and we'll just go ahead and we'll build a public cloud version of your application. Exactly the same process we did before. We're going to go through the same options, type in the name, all that kind of stuff. I think we're going to go with Silver again this time, just to manage costs down, because I know you're interested in managing.
This is my app, not my desktop, so let's use Silver.
Right, okay.
And auto-scaling as well. So I can auto-scale on top of the vCloud Hybrid Service as well.
Yeah, okay, let's do that. Let's auto-scale.
So nothing's changed?
Nothing. Exactly the same.
Okay.
Same console for us in the app in operations. Same options for you, same interface, and it's that easy. So if we click Submit now and provision that application, what you'll see now is that it's done. I mean, it's that simple, right? Little green tick, right?
Yeah.
Good news. But let me show you how we keep track of this in the back end. So let's go back to the vSphere web client. If we go back to here, what we'll do is we can now go and have a look at the virtual machines listed.
Okay.
And there's a list of all the virtual machines we've got. But if we filter that at the top by Vulkan to find the ones for your project, you'll see that they're listed there. And on the right there, it tells you that the data center they're in is the VCHS VDC, vCloud Hybrid Service Virtual Data Center.
So
you've got it.
Now I can see my applications running in the virtual cloud hybrid service, just like I saw them running in a private cloud before.
Exactly. I don't think that our guys in R&D could have made that any more seamless for you than we have. I mean, it's pretty much what you asked for, applications wherever you want, bring them backwards and forwards, same console, same look and feel.
Yeah, and I hope all of you can appreciate the amount of integration and engineering it took to truly create this seamless approach to provisioning and running a private cloud versus a public cloud. And I ask all of you to join me in giving our tremendous R&D and engineering organization a great round of applause for this effort. So with that, Joe, what you've just proved is you truly can seamlessly extend the software-defined data center into the public cloud with a common management and orchestration platform the same underlying architecture, including the networking and security. And we also can say to our customers who have historically had a support agreement with VMware, you can continue to call us through 1-800-I-NEED-HELP VMware, and we'll support you regardless of where your application is running.
That's right.
And you did prove to me you can run any application, any place, and we had no change to the security policies or procedures, and I had no change to how I access those applications. That is extremely powerful, Joe. Well done. Thank you very much. I can't thank you enough for bringing to life the fact that not only can we bring the software-defined data center here today, but you know how to operate in it. And thanks for these demos. Great job.
Thanks,
Joe.
Cheers.
Joe Baguley. So in our first half of demos, as I said earlier, Kit truly proved he can bring the software-defined data center to life right here at VMworld Europe. He also proved he can easily deploy applications on that infrastructure through a couple clicks, all at the same time, allowing users to leverage any device they want and securely get access to those applications. What Joe just proved to us is that IT knows how to operate in this new world of the software-defined data center. We showed you powerful tools on how to automate, orchestrate, provision, remediate, and ultimately operate IT in a fundamentally different way than we've historically done in the past. All at the same time proving that we can do all of this without any change to the underlying architecture or the IT operating policies or procedures by bringing the vCloud hybrid service to life here in Barcelona. This is a powerful testimony to the amount of innovation that we brought to VMworld 2013. And this was probably by far the most innovative VMworld we've had in the last 10 years. And we're quite proud of it. But along the way, we want to make a few commitments to you. Because we at VMware know that by bringing the software-defined data center to life, we are driving convergence. We're driving convergence of technologies, and we're driving convergence of the people side of the business. But while we drive convergence of the technology, we want to make a commitment to you that we will not just protect, but we will extend and leverage the infrastructure that you and your ecosystem has deployed in your data center today. There is no rip and replace to get to the software-defined data center. We will help you get more out of your existing infrastructure in the future. Now, over the last decade, all of you have made significant bets in your careers. And quite frankly, we're very honored that many of you bet your careers on VMware and virtualization. And because of that, we believe you have carved out a unique place within the IT organization. Because everything we showed today can now be done at time of virtual machine creation. We can create the compute layer, we can do networking, we can set storage policies, we can provision both users and applications. And it's you who we believe, as the IT organization moves from a world of silos, silos with network administrators, storage administrators, this new cloud operations group, we believe you are uniquely positioned to be the champions of IT in the future. Now, we at VMware, we love technology. And if you think about the last decade, we can be bold and maybe make a statement like, we're the most innovative technology company to grace planet Earth in the last decades. But we also know something else. We know that technology only enables changes. It doesn't drive change. What we do know is champions drive change. You go be a champion again, and once again, defy convention. Thanks, and enjoy the rest of the conference.